David, I am delighted Governor Newsom appointed you to lead the transportation industry. Look forward to working with you. And on the passenger rail, I'm glad you're here listening. Welcome, sir. He's right over there. Mr. Dinsdale, I also am with Mr. Lipinski concerned on Amtrak's efforts to close in-house call centers and outsource the work. In January, they were told that they had low calling, and then later they opened up centers in Florida and in Ohio. And I'm concerned that Amtrak got rid of these in-house employees because they no longer want to pay the livable wages with benefits to their workers. What is your take on the situation, and what proof do we have that they were low in calls into the call center in California?
Thank you for the question, Congresswoman. First of all, I'd like to go back to where we had our first conversation with them. It was May in 2018. We had been hearing rumors that they were going to close the Riverside Call Center. So we asked for a meeting. And we met with no less than 3 of their vice presidents. And they told us, we're not closing it. We're going to invest in that office. We're only going to open an office in Florida for rollovers when there's some sort of weather issue on the East Coast. The other call centers in Philadelphia, and evidently there was a problem when you had a nor'easter a couple years ago. So this allegedly was going to be an office where they could roll these calls over to. And I'm sitting in this room going, you don't know where Riverside is? It's in the middle of the desert. So that's not going to be a weather issue. That office would be the place that they probably should have kept open if they were going to close one. But the fact is they need both call centers. And the result of having 350 people working in this between the 2 offices in Ohio and Florida is a clear indication that the call volume's not dropped, because that's the amount of employees that they reduced by closing the Riverside Call Center.
Do they have any benefits?
I'm sorry?
Do they have benefits? The Florida people and the Ohio people?
No, absolutely not.
I'm very concerned about that, because that means jobs are lost and transplanted to another state, which I don't mind if we had the extra work. I have another question for Mr. Nathanson, Ms. Nathanson. We held a hearing a little while back on the growing length of trains operated by the freight railroads. Your testimony addresses the issue. Can your current network capacity, allow for such long trains, and how long does it impact the full passenger service in your area?
Thank you for the question. In short, no, my region can't accommodate additional extended length trains. In Oregon, we have had only 1 siding out of 12 that was long enough to accommodate the long trains that we have running in Oregon, 8,000, 10,000 feet long. We had only 1 siding that was long enough. So that obviously isn't adequate. But in addition to sidings that aren't long enough to accommodate the freight trains, as long as a siding is able to be used as storage, basically a parking lot for cars when they're not in service and not moving along the track, if the siding is used for storage, then the siding can't be part of a system to allow a passing lane. So that means that our passenger trains will continue to be impeded.
Well, I've long held a great concern over the length of trains now being used by railroads, because they impact every community, and there are only a few areas that can maintain that length of train, and now I'm hearing they're even bigger than that. Question for Mr. Guy is, I am concerned about the fact that Amtrak is paying for accidents occurring that they're not responsible for. Why?
I think that's what's currently the law. They don't have a private right of action. Is that the portion you're talking about?
Well, to pay millions resulting in accidents occurring on other railroads, even they're not negligent, is not acceptable.
Yes, and that costs Congress and states more in operations because the host railroads, if it's solely their responsibility, they're not responsible for it. Amtrak is.
Well, that's surely something we should address in this committee. And Mr. Chairman, I have other questions, but I'll put them in writing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Napolitano.